Are we back? Are we back? I think we're back live. Sorry about the technical problems. We'll figure them out for next time. I'm going to start answering some of the questions that we had left from the previous stream and wait until some new people join, and we'll hang out for like an extra 10 minutes. Sorry for the trouble. Okay, so back to the question of the percentage of time dedicated to YouTube. I think was one of the ones they left behind. So I spend 1 day a week on YouTube. That's the way I sort of rescheduled this. My YouTube time starts on Wednesday when I get briefed on the news. I'm usually aware of the news, but our writing team, reporters write the little news segment. They brief me on that. I write some of my opinions. So that's kind of like the start of my YouTube time, Wednesday evening. Thursday we shoot. So we shoot the news and we shoot any other video that we were planning for that week and for the next week. So usually the one company forensics, one video like the one you just saw today. And then I hang out for live Q&A or the Discord channel where we do Q&A after every video. So that's usually about a day a week, the time that I'll spend on YouTube. Next question. Hi, I'm 20 years old. I don't have as much experience dealing with people, and I will be starting a new business in a week or so. Your tips? So that's a good question. You sort of have to learn to deal with people, and there's a learning curve to dealing with people. I remember I was a shitty manager early on. I just didn't understand. I guess the biggest lesson I learned through that process was that you sort of have to manage people differently. Even my co-founders, the way we interact with them, the way we make decisions, like there's a science and an art to dealing with people and getting everyone behind the same idea and behind the same boat. So managing that is a people skill that you sort of need to practice. Like I never managed people before launching my company, but I managed teams at college, for example, like the team doing whatever project. So I guess that was the experience. Next up, how come your channel took off like crazy in 2020? Was it startup forensics? Any change to thumbnails? I think it was a combination of company forensics as a series, which is like our first series, which was the Startups 101 videos, the ones that focused on our own story as a company, starting a business, raising money. Like those videos I think are really good and they're really useful for startups, but they're very niche. Like if you're starting a company, that's useful. Otherwise, it's not really. So that's where company forensics was really made a good difference there, because we opened ourselves to a bigger audience. Now, what we see now in our channel is that we have this broad audience of people that watch the company forensics videos. Some of them are entrepreneurs, or some of them are starting companies, so we can funnel them down to the other videos, and then we can funnel them to our product and to get them to pay. But there's a vast majority of people that only watch our company forensics videos, and that's okay. It still gives us credibility. It still increases our reach and gets us in front of more people. So I guess they all serve a different purpose. And yes, company forensics was probably the breakthrough in 2020. The first video on company forensics was WeWork, which launched, I think, in October 2019, but we only really picked up full-time forensics this year. 2020. What's in that board behind you? Good question. So this is the set that we made for our Apple video. That was a video that we did that didn't do as well as we expected. We spent a lot of money and a lot of love on this new set. But that is just the set that we used for Apple, which has a bunch of little newspaper cutouts and Polaroid photos and that sort of thing. You can see the detail of that in the Apple video, and we're using some of that board for B-roll for our other videos. So it's a production thing. And also set decoration. Next up, Caya, I'm wondering what resources do you use to get info if you need your work, hard skills, marketing, tactics, sales management, books, articles, videos? That's a good question. I wish I had time to read more books. Like I see this ad all the time about the average CEO reading a book a week. Maybe I'm not the average CEO, but I haven't read a full book in a couple of years now. I just don't have time to read that much. I read articles. I read, whenever I need to learn something, I just go and find a bunch of blog posts and read about it. So I probably read the amount of text worth of a book every week, but not a specific book. Still, books that I can recommend that have worked out really great for me are, I ship these randomly to people sometimes, to people I speak to, founders. Lean Started by Eric Ries, Traction, How to Explosively Grow Your Startup, something like that. That's the full name. You can find both on Amazon. And The Founder's Dilemmas. I think that those are three really good books on the process of starting a company. Next question. Hi, Kaya. How do you decide on what features to launch and when? Side note: I found Slidebean when I was looking for Prezi, and I've been a loyal customer. Thank you ever since. The products are super useful. So what features? The pipeline of features for the most part comes from what. I mean, it's a very delicate balance between what people ask, like feature requests from customers, our own roadmap, the stuff that we believe is important and we want to build, the stuff that we think that can sell or convert people better, and then bugs, I guess, which are also part of the roadmap. So how we balance these four is a very delicate science. Why? Because I, as a marketer, want to focus on stuff that converts more people, that allows us to get in front of more people or to onboard more people. Our customer support team, they want to get bugs solved and answer customer requests. So how do you balance all of that? It's just discussion of what do you think is more urgent. I think that the job of a product manager is literally defining that roadmap. But right now, that product manager persona is not a single person, but just a discussion between the founders and upper management as to what to focus on. Like, our focus today is on this new product, this expense tracking platform, which is not part of Slidebean presentations, but definitely part of the company, which used to be called monthly. Now it's going to be called recurring. So recurring.co if you want to check it out. And there's a story on why we had to change that name, but that's a story for another day. Luis Angel. So how much influence do investors have in the operations and management of a startup? Can they change the philosophy of a company if they want to? I think that for the most part, no. Investors usually will be a one board, member of the board. So it's a 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 votes. They can push you to work harder. They can push you to make more revenue. But in the end, it's at least with my own experience with investors, it's still the CEO and the team that defines, the CEO, the founders that define company culture. Investors get very rare. I mean, they don't get involved at all. I just report to them a very nice, thorough, detailed report on how the company is doing. I used to do that monthly. Now I do it quarterly. And if I have questions, I'll ask the specific investor that may have a relevant answer. But aside from that, they're pretty chill for the most part. I expect that investors in later stages, and even what I've heard from other founders, investors in Series A, Series B stages are much more on board because there's a lot of more money on the table. Can we get funding based on ideas? No, I don't think that you can get funding based on ideas these days. I think that you can get funding based on ideas, some traction, a good team. Ideas, good traction, and a good team. I think that those are all required these days to get angel funding. You can raise friends and family money, and that's okay. But did we lose video again? All right, guys. So I think we're going to wrap it up because we're having some issues with the audio. But if you can still hear me, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you next week.